She's the absolutely fabulous BAFTA award-winning actress, documentary maker, campaigner and all-round national treasure, Dame Joanna Lumley. She's backing a bill that would completely ban British hunters from bringing endangered and vulnerable animal trophies back into the country. Ahead of a vote in Parliament next month, I asked her whether she thinks the campaign will be successful.
Nadine, I think we're pushing at an open door anyway, because there's enormous cross-party support for this. There are just one or two glitches. One is that I believe, and you must correct me on this because you know parliamentary procedure, that you have to have 42 members in the House on the day of voting for a particular bill. There will always be troublemakers, there might be one or two, but unless you've got 42 actual MPs there. Now, this is going to be on a Friday when most MPs go back to their constituencies, and they might not be there, which means that yet again, which is what happens in Parliament, as you very well know, things get kicked into the long grass. They're not exactly denied, but they just have vanished again until they're hooked out. And that we're running out of time for these animals. The countries where this shooting takes place, we've seen the population of all these wild animals dropping and dropping. Now, there's a danger of any bills, just people go, well, I'm not so sure about this, maybe I'll just leave it till the next time. Mumbling and scruffling and putting. You've all MPs have so much on their shoulders. They go, is this really important? And the point about this, the trophy hunting, and trying to get it banned, is that it is critical for the world and for the life of the wild animals and for the people of Africa. Because some of it is being sold as completely falsely as conservation. It is not conservation. It's being sold as something that can keep the African communities alive. Absolutely not so. We found some statistics which say that, statistics which say that it's something like you can make 70 times as much money from photo safaris rather than actual safaris, and that photo safaris provide 11 times as many jobs for the African people around those places. So anybody who sells it as conservation or something that they're doing with the Africans is a lie. Anybody who pretends that it is in some way increasing the species is a lie, because where they banned trophy hunting in Kenya, for instance, the populations of the lion and elephant rocketed. In the countries where they allowed trophy hunting, it's gone down, dwindling. And the hunters shoot. We call them hunters. They're not hunters. They're shooting animals which have been bred from babies from a bottle, put into a compound, and they have a win. They know that they're going to win. They're going to be allowed to go on shooting at that animal within the compound, like shooting fish in a barrel, until they get it. They pay a lot of money for this. I mean, it is something so horrible and so hellish. It's really hard to imagine that human beings who we know, a lot of people in England, we think this is a big American problem. This is the American gun lobby. These are the people, that awful man, Walter Cammy or something, who shot the lion, that beautiful lion. But it's people from this country, all kinds of people from all walks of life go out there with guns to kill animals and bring their trophies home.
But is it the case, though, Joanna, that you're to Cecil the lion, who was a beautiful 13-year-old lion who they coaxed away from his habitat in Zimbabwe and then shot him. And as a result of the publicity of that, the number of people from America going to hunt lions actually reduced. So in a way, it's the other end. We're talking about the other end, aren't we? The imports, not just the ban on trophy hunting in Africa because we can't control African laws, but the imports, if we can put the controls on here, on the imports of those products.
Exactly. You can stop people coming back with the heads or the bodies or whatever they have of their creatures and bringing them back into this country. So if you don't permit people in this country to bring back their trophies, we hope that it will kind of rather lessen the attraction of this vile sport. It's really hard. Nadine, we can't right the world's wrongs, but what we can do is small things which will have a huge impact. At the moment, it feels as though the world is quite often spinning out of control. There are so many tragedies that we can do nothing about. We can send a bit of money, we can send up prayers, we can keep our fingers crossed. But this is something we can do something about.
I want to ask you about other animal welfare measures that have gone through in the past, that the government is now, the rumours are, the government is now talking about reversing, such as the import of foie gras. And, you know, I'm horrified that we may reverse this. Again, it was back in 2008, 2009 that the campaign launched to ban the import of foie gras, which is the force feeding of geese to produce it. And would this be something you'd be interested in campaigning on too?
Yes, but look, I've got to say, I'm not a kind of professional campaigner. I'm not the kind of person to say, dial Joanna, get her on it like some old bloodhound.
You should
I'm
be.
so like you, like Nadine, like you, like so many millions of people. One's passionately involved. If any part of what I am or what I can be part of it, but I'm not the campaigner, and I have to drag it like a sack in and spread my load out in front of the MPs who either kick it into the grass or not. It's not up to me. It's up to us. This is a democratic decision. These are things that have to be made democratically. Once you've heard about it, if it affects you, if you think, I hate foie gras, I don't think we should have foie gras in this country. It's massively cruel and it's dreadful. It doesn't matter how many other countries love it, we hate it, ban it. The fact that we banned it and now have unbanned it, and the fact that we've gone back on all sorts of small things. We had a measure out to protect hedgerows. That's been rescinded as well. And you go, how did you do this? You pass it, nobody goes, bravo, bravo. And then in secret, it's rescinded. So there's all sorts of bad stuff going on. And we've got to kind of keep our representatives, i.e. our MPs, on their toes about it and have them stand up for us.
Joanna, I'd like to just highlight how an effective a campaigner you are. I'd just like to show a clip of your campaigning for the Gurkhas.
The Minister has explained, and I think we are all agreed, that we are going to be able to help in the formation of new guidelines. So that'll be wonderful. These will be guidelines which will be completed by July. And the 1,500 cases will be looked at, we understand, most sympathetically.
Yeah, well...
An absolute masterclass in lobbying and boxing a minister into a corner. I'd hated to have met you if I was a minister. Boxing a minister into a corner and making them commit to what it was that they were pretending to say in what he said earlier. That's how good you are at this, Joanna. Okay. So, and you know, you set Westminster alight that day. You know you did when you did that. It was just a masterclass.
I was only repeating, funny enough, the conversation we just had.
Yes.
So it was slightly shocking. I mean, I felt in a funny way sorry for Phil Willis because he was thrown under the taxi, you know. Anyway, it's a long time gone now. And, I just...
well, it may be a long time gone, but your impact isn't. And that's the point I'm trying to highlight and the difference that you can make when you get involved in campaigns.
I just want to say, if in case I look strange, I had tooth work done yesterday, so you can see that side of my face. I keep holding it and trying to sort of stop it. But I don't mind, in case people suddenly think she's got a bit of banana stuffed inside her face.
No, you look as fabulous as ever. You look great. So can I ask you about the coronation? I know you're good friends and you're big supporters of the royal family. Do you think Charles is going to make a great king?
Yes, I do. I think that from the word go. He's been the best Prince of Wales we've had for centuries. And when you look at it, how decades ahead he was of the game. And for all the mocking that people did about him talking to plants or caring about things which they thought was just insignificant, and the ribbing and the hateful remarks that he's had to put up with all his life, you know, you're sweet to say I know him. I've known him over a long time, and I've been involved with, obviously, the Prince's Trust, but I've been able to see him at sort of slightly closer quarters, friendlier sort of quarters. And he's a completely extraordinary man, extraordinary man. Not many of us could keep up with him for one day. So all these people who say, oh, get a proper job, before they go on, follow him for one day and see if they could possibly do it. He's exceptional, and his heart is... all his heart is for the good of the people. He's, you know, for all that he's king, he's the least snobbish person I've ever met. Extraordinary. He's a wonderful king.
I totally agree. In my 12 months as Secretary of State, I got to spend time alone with the royal family and obviously at various functions. And my affection for them grew hugely just at the work and their dedication, and all of the members of the royal family. They were so fantastic. But, you know, they've had a very tough 12 months. I don't know how most families would cope with what they've had to deal with over the past 12 months. The Jubilee, the death of our Queen, and all the other turbulence. And yet they seem to be coping fantastically. Do you think this is a testament to their sense of public duty and their stoicism?
I'm certain to a certain extent. I think they're taught to, no matter what happens. You see, they didn't choose to be there until this country decides to become a republic. We are a monarchy. So you say, oh, well, we think so-and-so should be king or so-and-so shouldn't be. It's not to do with that. Until we stop being, if people wanted to stop being a monarchy and become a republic, we are a monarchy. And what happens when our beloved late Queen died is that King Charles becomes king, and the varying titles shift on down. This is how it happens here. So it's no use people bellyaching about it. It's terrific. Thinking then, and people say, oh, I think we shouldn't have somebody who are born into it. We should have people who are voted into it. This is my answer to that. They are trained. People like Prince Charles and now Prince William, and after him, little Prince George, are trained from as soon as they can walk onto how to behave in the roles that they're going to be stepping into in future life. And it's tough because a lot of it is not playing football outside with friends. A lot of it is slogging and learning and practicing. A lot of it is scrupulous politeness. A lot of knowing that you can't answer back even when people have told complete lies about you. Being mocked or being praised or whatever it is, to excessive people, not knowing if people really like you, if they're just sucking up to you. I mean, it's an extraordinary position to be in. And I think that while we've got the royal family, we are so lucky to have them. We are so lucky to have them.
So, you said Prince Charles was a fantastic Prince of Wales, and now we've got William. Now he's King Charles III and we have William. Do you think William's ready to step up to that role?
He's terrific. He's marvellous. I mean, I don't want to set myself up as some sort of royal pundit who knows all the kinds of things, but he's shown himself to be nothing but adorable, agreeable, extremely full of humility and kindness, and just a kind of very regular bloke who happens to be somebody who's going to be in line for the throne. I mean, they couldn't have made themselves more ordinary, really, when you think of it.
And
when you think of people in the world, Nadine, who we know and who are much admired in, let's say, the world of music, pop music. Think of how they behave compared with how our royal families behave, and how much they're adored for having golden taps or behaving and living in helicopters or having 15 nannies or something. The world thinks they're absolutely tremendous. And here are our people driving themselves, walking around. I don't know, it's a very odd, people are very odd. Something you've learned to understand, I think.
Yeah. And those qualities of humility and kindness there, when you say that, you immediately think of the Queen, because they were the qualities that she imbued, and all of her life you saw that present in the Queen whenever you saw her. And it's interesting how those values and those qualities have actually transferred down the line. You
learn from example. Yeah. And if your parents, his parents, as their parents, grandparents, so on, had a life of duty and of behaving properly, which means in a seemly manner with kindness and respect for other people, all other people. And that's what the Queen had for everybody, because despite the fact that she was Queen, and I, like you, Nadine, you probably have met her as well, and I met the Queen, and you become tongue-tied. And she's so used to people being tongue-tied, and is so kind and so considerate. And I don't know, there was something easy. And if you see your parents behaving so gracefully and so kindly and amusingly about things, not taking themselves too seriously, and loving animals and loving nature, which is very, very good for us all, and which we abandon to our peril, I think they've got a good chance of being extremely nice people.
And dare I ask you about the fallout with Harry and Meghan? Do you think they'll be able to bring all this back together?
No, I not only know nothing about it, because I've been filming abroad a lot. I've read no books, I've seen no video shows or whatever they have. I haven't read nothing. I mean, you can't get away from it because the papers are obsessed with it. But I don't know anything about it.
Have you got used to the title, Dame? Do you love it?
No, I adore it. It was like a knock on the front door and you open it up and there's somebody holding an enormous bunch of flowers and you go, oh, God, is this for me? Are you sure? God, how thrilling. So that's what it's like being given a damehood. Completely undeserved.
Can I ask your opinion? So I always felt that if we made award categories gender neutral, is that we will just see again slowly the filtering down of women's achievements in terms of being recognised, and the men will walk away with all the awards again. Would you agree with me?
Maybe I do. I mean, I ought to say I'm against awards because I don't see half the time how you can judge. I mean, in my particular business, how is a comedy or a thriller How can you judge one against the other? And therefore, how can you judge a performance within one against the other? So already you're up against a lot of things. I think it's kind of doffing your hat. But if, for instance, if you dropped it down so that there was just best performance, for instance, let's take it to the stage. No, it's changing a lot because a lot of women are now doing the men Shakespeare parts. But in the old days, Shakespeare was predominantly men. The roles were predominantly men. Therefore, the Olivier Awards, for instance, would be heavily weighted in favour of men because they'd get more parts to be chosen from. I know that if my name was just put up as best actor against lots of men, I wouldn't have a chance. But as best actress, you might. If you wanted a chance. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm so lucky. I'm the recipient of awards and things. But I'm not sure about awards, Nadine. I'm not sure that they're great. Book awards and things like this, art awards. So much of it is in taste. And then when I read about the Oscars, and I realise that to get even onto a list, to be part of the shortlist, you have to go around lobbying people and promising things and having lunch with them. These are the stars who are up for it. You have to go, as it were, tarting around, trying to get people in favour. I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure. I think to diminish it and make it even more sort of, neutral makes it a bit sort of weird.
You wrote recently, I think you may have commented on how women need to stand up for themselves more. And you commented about victimhood and how we need to be stronger. How were those comments received? And is there a point of view you still hold?
I've always believed that people must be resilient because bad things are going to happen in life. Whether they ought to or not is beside the point. They will, or things that offend you. I mean, lots of people are offended by being whistled at. That's awful because the whistling is going to go on. So what do? You become resilient. I never minded being whistled at, but some people find it really horrific. And they say it scars their lives. Well, then just muscle up, you know what I mean? Be brave. Yeah. You've got to be a bit brave in this life because the world is a very tough place. And if you just keep trying to stop anything bad happening to you, you're going to paint yourself into a little quiet grey corner where you can't do anything. You don't go out. You don't move. You don't read. You don't taste or look or speak to anybody because everything will be cancelled and everything will be made so safe. I'm just saying, be brave. This terrible thing of imagining that all men or all policemen or everybody's after you and is going to hurt you is awfully wicked and awfully wrong to men. Most of whom are incredibly kind, would help you out of any scrape, would undo lids of jars for you. That's pathetic, but do you know what I mean? Are kindly people. They're kind people. They're kind people. So don't paint them as bad people. A little bit sweeping statements all over the place. Just do your best. Be brave. Be strong. If you see somebody else in trouble, go over and help them at once because two people are harder to overcome than one. But don't, for God's sake, start going about afraid of everything. Because fear attracts bullying. Stand up, hold your head up high, look out at people,
More from Joanna coming up. It's been over 30 years since Patsy Stone and Nadine Monsoon first stumbled onto our screens. Could this absolutely fabulous pair ever make a comeback? Welcome back to Friday Night with Nadine. After John Cleese revealed his plans for Fawlty Towers reboot, I had to ask Joanna Lumley whether the iconic Absolutely Fabulous could also make a comeback. John Cleese is going to do the whole remake of Fawlty Towers. Do you think there'll be a remake of Ab Fab? Do you think that will come back? No? No.
Jennifer said not, so as she wrote it. I think the thing is that if something stuck in your minds, like the 12 episodes of Fawlty Towers, which have become sort of legendary. It seems, it's very interesting. John is a very, very interesting, complicated person. And if he wants to have a crack at it, I mean, it's his show as much as Connie Booth's show, who apparently it was a bit of a shock to find it was being done. But anyway, that's up to them. And it won't affect the 12 episodes people have grown to love.
No, that's
But Jennifer, a very, very wise woman, apart from being a brilliant writer and a beloved friend. And she just said, nope. No more.
But Joanna, would she bet what she wrote then? And for example, the characterisation of Patsy, would she have been able to write that today, that characterisation, and to write the series as she wrote it then in today's politically correct world?
No, because we did those they started in 1991. And the world has changed so much since then. I mean, you wouldn't be able to smoke, you wouldn't be able to drink, you wouldn't be able to snort coke, even though it was high satire on revolting people. And it was just dreadfully funny. And the wicked things Adina could say about people and the ghastly behaviour of Patsy. You wouldn't be allowed to do it now.
I know, would Patsy have been cancelled today?
They wouldn't dare.
Oh, fantastic answer.